If you ever get a Christmas card with a postmark from next year, don't open it. Don't turn it over. Don't peel the envelope flap. Don't tell yourself it's a glitch, or a clerical error, or some cute marketing stunt, because if it's for you and the date is wrong, and the photo on the front shows you doing something you haven't done yet, it's not a mistake, it's a schedule, and you don't want to know what's on it. The first one came on December 15th. I remember the date because my mailbox was already choking on junk holiday flyers, last-minute sales, the HOA newsletter with passive-aggressive clip art sleigh bells. It was dark by 5:30, the air sharp with that dirty city winter smell, exhaust, wet asphalt, something metallic underneath. I wasn't expecting anything. I don't really get Christmas cards. That's not self-pity, just numbers. I'm 30, single, live alone in a small apartment that smells permanently like whatever the restaurant downstairs is burning. My parents do a holiday email, now mass BCC, zero personalization. My friends text memes. Nobody spends postage on me. So when I pulled out the stack of mail and saw the card, it didn't register at first. It was tucked in the middle. Standard-sized envelope, thick paper, matte, a little nicer than the others. No festive cartoon Santa vomiting glitter, just a simple dark red border and, in looping gold script, my full name and address. No return address on the front. The first thing that bothered me was that the handwriting looked familiar, not in a specific way, just intimate. The way someone writes when they know your middle name and your coffee order and the exact shape of your bad days. I rode the elevator up, keys between my fingers, mail hugged against my chest. My building's hallway was decorated in half-hearted tinsel and a single dying poinsettia that someone had abandoned on the windowsill. Festive, if you squinted through depression. Inside my apartment, I dumped everything on the kitchen table, flicked on the overhead light, and sorted mechanically. Junk, junk, bill, junk, HOA passive aggression, and the card. Closer up, it was even nicer. Heavy cream envelope, smooth to the touch, the gold ink catching the light. No smears, not machine printed. Somebody took their time. In the upper right corner, a stamp with a little wreath and bow. Under it, the postmark. I almost didn't look. When I did, my brain took a second to process. Deck 122025. I checked my phone. December 15th, 2024. I blinked hard, shook my head like that would rearrange the numbers on the paper. 2025. I told myself it was a smudged 4, a misprint. Maybe the ink had bled and made the last digit look weird. I held it closer. 2025. Clear as anything. Something in my chest did a slow, cold turn. Okay, I said aloud, because sometimes hearing your own voice makes things more normal. Okay, they messed up the stamp, that's all. I turned the envelope over. On the back flap, in the same gold script, Merry Christmas thought of you. No name, no return address, front or back. Just that. I should have thrown it away. I should have slipped it, unopened, into the trash, and buried it under pizza boxes and junk flyers, and let time and coffee grounds eat the paper. Instead, I slid my thumb under the flap. The glue peeled away with a soft, clean sound. Inside was a card, same quality as the envelope, heavy, expensive feeling, with a glossy photo printed on the front. The photo hit me like a slap, because it was me, not kind of me, not some stranger with similar hair and face shape. Me, standing in the middle of a frozen pond. I don't ice skate. I've never been on a frozen pond in my life, but there I was in the picture. Winter coat zipped up to my throat, breath fogging in the air, arms held slightly out for balance, one foot extended, skates on my feet. Behind me, blurry but unmistakable, a row of trees lined with white Christmas lights, a cluster of food stalls, the indistinct shapes of people moving along the edge of the ice, one of those pop-up holiday ice rinks, the kind they build in city parks and drown in Instagram filters. The angle was slightly elevated, like the shot had been taken from up in the stands or from one of the nearby buildings. Printed at the bottom of the card, in small serif font, Holiday on Ice, December 2025. I stared at it until my eyes watered. Then I opened the card. Inside, on the right-hand side, in the same looping script as the envelope, "Can't wait to see you there." No signature, no love, no from, no cutesy little drawing. Just that sentence. "Can't wait to see you there." The radiator clanked once and hissed behind me, making me jump. I looked up, half expecting someone to be standing in the doorway with a camera and a "gotcha." Empty apartment. Same faded walls. Same crooked blinds. I looked back at the card. Me, in a coat I didn't own, on skates I didn't have, at an event I'd never attended, dated a year from now. I did the rational thing. I grabbed my laptop. Turns out, if you search Christmas card date misprint, you get a lot of posts from people furious about the wrong year on their 2023 cards, or some printer swapping 6 and 8. None of them mentioned a picture that hadn't been taken yet. I zoomed in on the photo until my face was a blur of pixels. It was me, the way my shoulders hunch when I'm cold, the slope of my nose, the little cowlick in my hairline. I checked the postmark again just to torture myself. Deck 122025. The card sat on the table all night. I made dinner. I pretended to watch something on Netflix. My eyes kept sliding back to that glossy little rectangle, waiting where I'd left it, like a dog that had been told to sit and stay, and was doing exactly that. I didn't sleep much. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw myself on that ice, mid-step, arms slightly out, like I was caught between movement and falling. The next morning, it was still there, which somehow surprised me. Like the universe might have corrected itself overnight. Like I might wake up to find the whole thing rearranged into something less impossible. I picked it up again. My fingertips left foggy marks on the gloss. The picture refused to change. Holiday on Ice, December 2025. Can't wait to see you there. I told myself a new story. This is a prank. Someone stole a photo, edited it, printed it, faked a postmark. Someone who knows my face well enough to Photoshop it convincingly onto a stranger's body. My brain threw up a list of possible culprits. Exes, friends with dark humor, that one coworker who takes bit way too far. I eliminated them as quickly as I conjured them. Nobody I know is that committed. I was still staring at the card when a notification pinged on my phone. I ignored it. Another ping, then another. Group chat, probably. Or my mother beginning her campaign of, "Are you coming home for Christmas?" The yearly siege I'd already decided to surrender to with a polite no. Eventually I checked. It was my friend Liv, the one who still tries to drag me outside socially. "Hey," she'd written. "Saw a thing. Thought of you." She'd attached a link. I clicked. It was an article about a new holiday market opening downtown. Festival, ice rink, vendors, all that cheerful capitalist sparkle. Featured photo, a promotional shot of the rink concept art. It looked exactly like the one in the card. Same layout, same tree line, same food stalls. The opening date? December 2025. I stared at the screen for a long time. You know that feeling when your stomach drops in an elevator, except it doesn't stop that slow, ongoing descent, like you're falling forever? That. I set my phone down very carefully, like it was made of something flammable, and decided not to respond. Liv sent a question mark. I put the card back in its envelope, and I told myself I was not, under any circumstances, going to any ice rink next year. Easy. Done. Event avoided. Problem solved. Right? Say. The second card came 3 days later. I recognized the envelope instantly. Same heavy cream paper, same gold script, same neat little wreath stamp, same wrong postmark. Deck 152025. My hand started shaking before I even touched it. I stood in the dim hallway by the mailboxes, fluorescent light buzzing overhead, apartment doors lining the corridor like closed mouths. Part of me wanted to leave it there, just push it back into the metal slot and pretend I hadn't seen my name on it. In the end, I picked it up. Because of course I did. Because curiosity is stronger than self-preservation in most people. And apparently, I am embarrassingly human. Back in my apartment, I put it on the table. I made myself a cup of tea I didn't want. I walked a circuit through the rooms twice. Then, I sat down and opened it. Same sound of glue peeling. This photo was different. It was inside my parents' house. I recognized the ugly beige couch first. My mother bought it on sale in 2010 and refuses to admit it's uncomfortable. Same Afghan. Same dent in the armrest where my dad sits every night watching crime shows. In the photo, I was on the couch. Christmas decorations everywhere. Tree up in the corner, lights twinkling, tinsel drooping, a muted TV glow in the background. I was sitting cross-legged, wearing pajamas with little snowflakes on them I'd never seen before, a mug in my hand, staring at my phone. You know how you recognize your own posture? The way your spine curves when you're tired? The angle of your neck when you hunch over a screen? It was like that, like looking in a mirror that had decided to show you something later instead of now. Printed at the bottom, Christmas Eve, December 2025. Inside, the message. You went home after all. Proud of you. I read it 3 times. I haven't spent Christmas at my parents' in 4 years. We're not estranged, exactly. We're just strained. Too many fights about expectations and life choices and who I should be at my age. The idea of going back for a holiday makes my skin itch. I'm not doing this, I said aloud to the empty room. I'm not going. I'm not. I caught my reflection in the black TV screen. I looked like the person in the photo, just earlier. I put the cards side by side on the table. Me on the ice, me on the couch. 2 different future Decembers. My phone buzzed. It was my mother. "Hey, sweetheart," she typed. "I know it's last minute, but we would love to have you for Christmas this year. No pressure. Just think about it." I didn't answer. I didn't throw the cards away either. I told myself I was keeping them as evidence. For who, I couldn't say. The 3rd card came that weekend. At that point, the sight of the cream envelope in my mailbox made my heart skip and then hammer. Same handwriting, same stamp, same wrong year. Deck 202025. I opened it in the elevator this time, unable to wait. The photo was darker. Nighttime. Streetlights cast yellow halos on wet pavement. Snow fell in thin streaks, turning the air grainy. In the foreground, a crosswalk. In the midground, a figure. Me? Hood up, hands jammed into pockets, shoulders hunched against the cold, half turned, like I just glanced over my shoulder. In the distance, barely visible, the glow of the holiday market and rink. I turned the card in my hands, searching for some tell that it was fake, a glitch in the pixels, a repetition in the background, anything. Printed at the bottom. On your way home, December 2025. Inside, the handwriting had changed. It was messier now, letters slanting harder, ink heavier on the downstrokes. You tried to avoid it. You didn't. A drop of tea slid off my mug and hit the card, blooming into a pale stain. I realized my hands were shaking so hard it was making my drink tremble. "Okay," I said. Okay. Here's the part where you suggest the rational explanations, right? Time-traveling cardstock, an elaborate prank that involves future-dated postmarks and deep fake-level photo editing. Some niche ARG marketing campaign. I wanted those answers so badly I could taste them. I didn't get them. What I got instead were more cards. They didn't come every day. That would have been almost easier, in a way consistent, predictable. Instead, they showed up just often enough to make me flinch every time I passed the mailboxes. December 22nd, December 23rd. A couple with no postmark date visible, like the ink had smeared. Each one was a slice, a moment. Me in line at a coffee shop I hadn't been to yet, staring at the chalkboard menu. Me at the frozen pond again, this time standing at the edge, one skate on, one skate dangling from my hand. Me on a train, forehead against the glass, city lights smeared into lines outside, always labeled December 2025. On your lunch break, you said yes. You went anyway. The messages inside shifted tone over time. First, they were encouraging. See, you can still change. Then they were approving. Knew you would. Knew you couldn't resist. After that, they got blunt. You'll be there, whether you want to or not. And dated. I started writing dates on my wall calendar in thick red marker. Big fat no over December 2025. Underneath, no ice rink, no home, no train. As if a Sharpie could hold back whatever was already printed and mailed and on its way to my future. When my mother asked again about Christmas, I told her I wasn't sure. When Liv sent me the link a second time with a string of ice skate emojis, I left it on red. Sleep got thin. Every creak of the pipes sounded like envelopes sliding under my door. I stopped checking my mailbox every day. Sometimes I let the cards pile up a bit, like maybe if I didn't look, they'd stop arriving. They didn't. It was 2 days before Christmas when I finally broke and took the accumulated stack upstairs in one go. 10 cream envelopes, all with my name written in that same flowing gold script. 10 future glimpses waiting to be opened. I lined them up on the table like tarot cards. My hands hovered over them. Then I did something that, even at the time, I knew was stupid. I opened them all. A talent. They weren't in chronological order. One showed me and my dad standing in the kitchen together. Him pouring gravy. Me laughing at something off frame. Caption: you forgave him. Another had me sitting on the ice rink bench, cheeks bright red from cold, skating laces loose, phone in my hand. Caption: you texted her anyway. Her. Who was her? I flipped that one open. Inside, a single sentence. It felt good, didn't it? Another card. Me in a dim bar I didn't recognize. Fairy lights strung along the ceiling. Holiday music blurring in the background. Empty glasses on the table. My face puffy, eyes tired. Caption: last night of the year. Inside. You didn't go home alone. My throat tightened. The next one was worse. Not graphic, not bloody, just final. Me lying in the snow beside the river, eyes closed, snowflakes on my lashes, one hand outstretched, palm up. No caption printed on the front. On the inside, in smaller writing, you didn't mean to. My vision tunneled. I had to put that one down. I don't know how long I sat there, surrounded by future Christmases and December nights and possible endings laid out in glossy, postcard-sized frames. You know how your mind tries to make patterns out of everything? I searched for a crack, a moment I could wedge myself into, a point in the sequence where I could say, there, that's where I'll do something different. But it all flowed. It all made a horrible, terrible kind of sense. Avoid the rink until a friend drags you just to see it. Avoid your parents until guilt and nostalgia and obligation wear you down. Avoid the river until some colder, lonelier version of you walks there alone. If you apply enough pressure to a person, enough guilt, enough fear, enough pointed suggestions, you don't need mind control. They'll walk where you want them to go. I thought about the handwriting. I thought about the fact that no return address ever appeared on any of the envelopes. I thought about the one line that appeared again and again in different variations. Knew you would. Knew you better than you know yourself. Of course I thought of Mara. She used to say that kind of thing. Claim little victories when she guessed what I'd order, or who was calling, or what my face meant when I didn't speak. I know you, she'd say. You're not that complicated. Mara is gone. We broke up 2 years ago in spectacularly messy fashion. Blocked numbers, mutual friends awkwardly cut down the middle. The whole toxic breakup toolkit. She doesn't know where my parents live now. She doesn't know about the new winter market downtown. She doesn't know my mailbox code. But the text of some of these notes, the rhythm of certain sentences, it felt like her. And something else. Something that watched from a higher vantage point. Not just one life. Lots. It's not that hard, one of the later cards said, in cramped handwriting, margins filled to the edges. You think you're making choices, but you're just solving for the least amount of discomfort. You always go where the path of least resistance leads. All I have to do is tilt the terrain. I didn't recognize the handwriting on that one, not entirely. Some letters were hers. Some looked a lot like mine. In Friends Prayed. I know what you're thinking. Just don't do it. If the card says you'll go to the rink, don't go. If the card says you'll go home for Christmas, book a flight somewhere else. Break the sequence. Smash the pattern. I tried. God, I tried. The first test was small. One of the cards showed me at the holiday market, standing at a stall selling hot chocolate. The caption read, "You ordered the peppermint one. Extra shot." Inside, it said, "You always pick the sweetest thing. You're predictable." It made my teeth hurt just to read it. So on December 23rd, when Liv finally wore me down and got me to go to the market, just for an hour because, come on, you're turning into a ghost, I made a decision. We walked past the rink entrance, past the music and the lights, and the smell of cinnamon sugar and fried oil, until we hit the hot chocolate stand. My heart hammered. The menu board listed 6 options: classic, dark, peppermint, salted caramel, orange, and something called Santa's Delight that sounded like a blood sugar crisis. "What are you getting?" Liv asked. The future card's image burned in my brain. The little caption under it, "You ordered the peppermint one. Extra shot." I cleared my throat. "Dark," I said. "No peppermint." Liv laughed. "Wow, edgy." "Okay, same." We ordered, we paid. We stepped aside to wait. My hands shook as I wrapped them around the paper cup. Dark hot chocolate. No peppermint. See? I wanted to scream at the cards waiting back on my table. See? I can do something else. I'm not a puppet. I'm not on rails. Liv bumped my shoulder with hers. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I lied. "Just cold." We walked around a bit, watched kids wobble on the ice. The air smelled like sugar and pine and exhaust, the way all city holidays smell. I went home that night buzzing with brittle triumph. I broke it. I broke the script. They were wrong. I almost didn't check my mailbox the next morning. Almost. The envelope was waiting for me. My hands went numb. Back upstairs, I opened it with the grim care of someone defusing a bomb. The photo on the front showed the hot chocolate stand, 2 cups, held close together. The angle suggested it was taken from behind us, or at a distance. My coat was unmistakable. So was Liv's red beanie. We were both mid-laugh, faces turned toward each other. Printed at the bottom, "You wanted the peppermint one." Inside, in small, neat handwriting, "You changed your order at the last minute. They were out of peppermint. The machine broke. You went with dark. You always settle. I knew you would." I dropped the card. I hadn't thought about that. It was true. The guy at the stand had apologized, said they were out of the syrup for peppermint, that they only had dark and classic left. I shrugged, said, dark then." In my head, I'd filed that under victory. The card knew the difference. It knew what I would have chosen if the option had been open. It knew the shape of the path in my head, not just the one my feet took. That's when the real fear set in. Not the jump scare kind, not the monster under the bed kind. The slow, seeping horror of realizing that someone or something had mapped you, every desire, every avoidance, every weak point. Every time you've chosen comfort over confrontation. Every time you've told yourself, later, and meant never. Every time you've stood on a bridge and thought, just for a moment, about leaning over. Because that was in one of the cards too, remember? Me by the river, snow on my lashes. You didn't mean to. 16. I stopped going out. If the world was a maze and something was guiding me through it, the only solution my panicked brain could come up with was to stop moving. I called in sick. I ignored texts. I unplugged my TV, as if that would stop the future from broadcasting itself. The cards kept coming. Now some of them had photos of my apartment. Me sitting at the table, surrounded by cards. Me pacing in front of the window. Me curled on the couch, staring at the wall. You stayed inside. You didn't answer. You still ended up there. I got one that was just a black rectangle on the front, glossy and opaque. No visible image. Inside, the handwriting was cramped, almost feverish. You think stillness saves you. It doesn't. Time moves, whether you do or not. I started having dreams in glossy paper, little rectangles floating on the river, on the ice, in my parents' living room. Each one of them, my face, slightly older, slightly more tired. Some mornings, my mailbox was empty. Those were the worst days, because if I wasn't getting new frames, it meant the ones I already had were still in play. It meant nothing had changed. And you're waiting for the part where I die, aren't you? Or the part where I throw all the cards into a bonfire and that fixes it? Or the part where I discover the clever twist, the neighbor with the hidden camera, the ex with a time machine, the psychotic artist doing experiments on choice and free will. I wish I had that for you. What I have instead is this. It's December again, 2025. This time, the postmarks match the year on my phone now. The world outside my window is threaded with the same cheap Christmas lights, the same half-hearted cheer over the same honest exhaustion. The ice rink opened last week. Liv has already texted me 3 times with "tonight" and a cascade of skate emojis. My mother left a voicemail yesterday, her voice soft and hopeful, asking if I've reconsidered. "Just think about it, sweetheart. Your room's still here." End quote. I have a stack of cards on my table like a storyboard. Some I've matched to things that have already happened. Me in that bar on the last night of the year? That was last weekend, when I let a coworker drag me out because the walls of my apartment felt too close to my skin. Me on the train, forehead against the glass? That was 2 days ago. On my way back from an appointment I didn't tell anyone about. The Christmas Eve couch shot? That one hasn't slotted into place yet. Neither has the pond or the river. Those cards sit on the top of the pile, patient. They don't have to rush. Time is moving toward them without any help. The newest card came this morning. Email. This time, same gold script, digitized. No subject line, no sender I recognize. The image attached is high resolution. It's my apartment, my table, my stack of cards, and me, sitting in this exact chair, typing. The timestamp on the email says, December 24, 2025, 11:59 p.m. The message underneath is short. Merry Christmas. You told them everything. I didn't write that card. I didn't send that email, but I know I'm going to, because I'm not special. I'm not some bold outlier, some heroic exception to the rule of my own habits. I'm a person who hates uncertainty, who craves explanation, who can't stand holding all this alone. Of course I would tell someone. Of course I would try to warn you. Of course I would turn it into a story, into content, into something I can look at from arm's length and pretend I have control over. That's what I'm doing right now. You're hearing this because I did exactly what the card said I would. I told you everything. And that's the part that really scares me. Not that the cards know where I'm going to be. Not that they know what I'm going to do. But that every time I find one and open it and choke on the future spilled onto its pages, every time I flinch or avoid or change plans or prove it wrong, it was already accounted for. Every resistance, every rebellion, every attempt to jump off the rails, all of it was already in ink. The calendar on my wall says December 24th, 2025. Midnight is close. There's a train ticket on my counter I don't remember buying. My bag is half packed. My mother texted to say, "Drive safe," like something in her also assumes I'll be coming. The card with me on the couch is waiting. The card with me on the ice is waiting. The card by the river is waiting. If I stay here, I'll still move toward one of them. If I leave, I'll just choose another frame. You want to ask, why not destroy them? Burn them, shred them, throw them into the river, and watch them run. I've tried. One of the early ones, the ice rink promo shot, I ripped into tiny pieces and shoved deep into the trash. The next day, it was back in my mailbox. Whole, uncreased, postmarked, Deck 122025. I don't think the cards are the source. They're just printouts. Proofs from a draft I'm not allowed to edit. Do you see it yet? The shape of what I'm trying to tell you? Because this isn't actually about me. That's the worst part. The worst part is knowing that I'm probably not the only one getting mail like this. That somewhere, right now, someone else is standing at their box, turning an envelope over in their hands, frowning at a postmark that doesn't match the year on their phone. Someone else is opening a card with a photo of themselves in a place they haven't been yet, with people they haven't met, labeled with a date that hasn't arrived. Someone else is telling themselves it's a glitch, a prank, a weird marketing campaign. If that's you, if you've started getting Christmas cards from next year, and you're still at the part where you can laugh it off, listen to me. Do not try to prove them wrong. Do not build your whole life around avoiding the scenes you've been shown, because whether you run toward them or away from them, you're still running on rails someone else laid. And every flinch, every pivot, every act of defiance, they're already in the deck. If you can bear it, do the only thing I didn't try. Don't open the next one. Leave it sealed. Let at least one moment in your future exist without a caption. Let one December arrive without a glossy, pre-printed explanation. Let there be something the cards don't get to name. Maybe it won't change anything. Maybe you're already halfway across the ice in a coat you haven't bought yet. Maybe the river is already waiting. Or maybe that unopened envelope stays a blind spot. A hole in the schedule. A place in the story where, just for a second, you weren't predictable. You weren't on rails. You weren't what someone else already wrote down in gold ink, months or years before you got there. I don't get that chance. I already know what I'm about to do. There's a card for it. You don't have to. So if a cream-colored envelope shows up in your mailbox with a little wreath stamp and your name written in handwriting that feels like it knows too much, do what I was too weak to do. Put it down. Walk away. Leave it sealed. Because the second you open it, the second you see yourself inside, you'll never be sure again if you're living your life or just reading it.